Naruto, Pokemon, and Sailor Moon. All three of these titles have a couple things in common. First of all, they're all cartoons. You can honestly find these cartoons on the internet or even on television. For example, Sailor Moon is a popular 90s TV show that had involved teenage girls transforming into sailor uniforms and having the power of the planets to save the world. You could not have missed Pokemon, it's practically everywhere. There were toys, card games, and even video games based off of them. And lastly, Naruto. Naruto is a little bit more trickier to explain. However, if you watch TikToks, Vines, or even compilations on YouTube, you will recognize the ninja run from Naruto, since Naruto is the originator of it. I'm a fan of all these cartoons, and honestly, I call them anime. What's really interesting about these anime, though, is that they're all derived from a single point comics, which I call manga. But what really is a manga? Are there different types of manga? And how do these manga become anime? Well, that's what I'm about ready to explain to you folks tonight. First of all, what is a manga? In layman's terms, manga is technically Japanese comics. In fact, the Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines as Japanese comic books and graphic novels considered collectively as a genre. You can honestly find all these titles in bookstores or even the public library. Another thing to note is that you have to read these comics a little bit differently compared to what you're normally used to. Whenever you read novels or newspapers, you want to start with the left side and you want to go to the right side. However, if you do try doing that with manga, the first page you will be introduced to is a page that says you are reading this the wrong way. The reason this is to be is because you have to read manga from right to left instead of left to right, keeping in theme with Japanese style. Now that we kind of know what a manga is, there are actually a bunch of different styles of manga. In fact, one of the different styles of manga is called shonen manga. Amanda Pagan, a representative of the New York Public Library, stated that shonen manga often features a lot of action and comedy, and some sort of coming-of-age camaraderie between characters. Some of these anime that you might have seen, or comics even, are like Sailor Moon, as I mentioned before, or My Hero Academia, which has been getting a lot of popularity these days. Even though Japan is the originator of these comics, that doesn't mean that none of the other parts of the world hasn't been subjected to it. One of the more popular ones that Americans probably know of is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I'm not talking about the movie, I'm talking about the comics. Originally, the movie was based off the comics that were made by a Canadian, I believe. And he also wrote it in the style of manga, so everything from the artwork to the way we read it is in that type of style. Now that we kind of understand there are different types of styles of manga, there's something else that we must go through. How do these manga become an anime? Well, what is an anime in the first place? Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines it as a style of animation originating in Japan that is characterized by stark, colorful graphics depicting vibrant characters and action-filled plots, often filled with fantastic or futuristic themes. Even all these animes you can actually find on the internet as well. As I mentioned before, Naruto would be a great one because it's full of fantasy, but also has a little bit of the culture involved with it. They're also a little bit stylized a little bit differently, and I'm talking about the characters, really. Whenever you read a manga, or even watch an anime, it's a little bit different from, say, if you're reading a comic from the funnies on Sundays, or if you're watching, say, Garfield on TV. If you've seen the Delbert or Garfield's owner John, they're a little bit shaped a little bit more differently. They have a little bit more roundness and a little bit more just plain shapes. With manga and anime, both of these actually use proportioned bodies. So for example, you will see that all humans would look more human-like. A little bit more animals would look more animal-like. They take really close attention to detail, and that's kind of one of the things that I enjoy about manga. Another thing to note about these manga that I mentioned is that if a manga becomes popular, then it becomes an anime. It has to gain a big popularity. For example, Naruto is a great example of this, and even Pokemon. both of these manga started off as manga, and once they grew in popularity, they became animations. These comics and animations have shaped two different cultures, ours and Japanese cultures. Now we kind of understanding what a manga is, the different types of manga, and how manga differs from anime helps us create a better connection with the rest of the world. As I stated before, most anime starts off as manga, and it's really, really creative, and it's really vibrant. In fact, if I haven't watched manga and anime like I have, I would never have been the creative person that I am today.